month by giving you a $1,000 small business bonus. Just imagine the thousands of possibilities of a $1,000 prepaid card, swag for staff, new equipment powered by gig speeds, or a 3D printer. Rapid prototyping, anyone? Switch to Comcast Business for over 99.99% network reliability, advanced cybersecurity, and now get started with the $1,000 small business bonus. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Want your boss to put some real action behind the rhetoric when they talk about making your workplace more inclusive? Find out how to hold their feet to the fire and demand diversity on the Diversity Dude podcast.
Hello there, and welcome back to the Diversity Dude podcast. I'm your host, Lambert Fisher, marriage and family therapist, award-winning author, and national speaker on the topic of multicultural awareness and diversity. And for those of you who are interested in even more positive, encouraging tips and strategies beyond what I share in podcasts like this, then feel free to check out my award-winning book, Diversity in Clinical Practice, nationally recognized for the unique way in which it addresses the often difficult topic of multicultural awareness and diversity. Designed for more than just therapists, if you're a helping professional in any way, Diversity in Clinical Practice can help you meet the greatest variety of cultural needs possible for those whom you serve. And it's available in paper and audiobook versions for your convenience. And if you haven't heard it yet, I invite you to visit TED.com and check out my talk called What to Do When You Offend Someone, where I offer a positive and practical perspective on how to navigate unintentional offenses in daily life. To date, it's been viewed over 500,000 times. Check it out for yourself, and if you're encouraged by it as well, share it with a friend. And whether it be through my one-on-one relationship building efforts as a therapist or my empowering and informing efforts as an author or speaker, know that my personal mission is to do my part to improve the world one strengthened relationship at a time. So today I want to share with you an encouraging perspective on the recruiting dilemma, cultural or qualified. So in the ever-evolving landscape of our country, many are continually uncertain regarding how they should think and how they should feel about all things cultural. But even for those who are confident about how they should think and feel, they're still left uncertain regarding what they should or even are allowed to do with what they think and feel culturally. This was made abundantly clear in one of my most recent trainings, my positive and shame-free cultural competency trainings, where I provide strategies for how to create culturally safe work environments without being divisive or making anyone feel like they're bad or the enemy for even just existing, and definitely without political agendas. During the Ask Lamberts Anything portion of the training, where professionals get to ask me all the questions that have gotten them in trouble in the past, but still require guidance, one professional asked this question: Lamberts, with so many mixed messages out there about what should or should not be taken into consideration as it relates to hiring new people these days, how can we be balanced in our increased cultural appreciation with hiring the most qualified people, especially when there doesn't seem to be enough qualified professionals from diverse backgrounds to choose from? Now, I have to admit, I was very excited to answer this question because it was clear that there was an increased cultural awareness and appreciation and a longing to have that reflected more in the organization as a whole, as well as a genuine desire to consider such in the recruitment process. And all of this was alongside a reality that in that professional's line of work, there didn't seem to be an abundance of cultural diversity among job applicants. And there's still the standard of hiring the most qualified candidates that was expected to lead the way. Contrary to the perspective of some professionals who are resistant and less appreciative of and are more annoyed by cultural diversity, this professional's genuine perspective was very much appreciated by me. So, with the desire to help provide clarity and direction, these are the considerations I shared to help guide them and every other professional in the training with a similar dilemma. Consideration number one: consideration of culture and merit-based qualifications are not contradictory. In a recent podcast, I described how diversity, equity, and inclusion policies and initiatives were the original merit-based programs designed to ensure that professionals from cultural minority populations, whether that be racial or ethnic minorities, gender minorities, sexual orientation minorities, and more, receive the same opportunities to be seen and considered for jobs for which they were already qualified for, or were overlooked or sometimes outright dismissed due to cultural differences. I mention this first because despite the genuine intentions of the question, an unhealthy or skewed perspective can hinder any progress toward that genuine goal. And if there is a genuine belief that intentional efforts to increase the diversity of cultural identities among professional teams feels like an exception to the standard of hiring qualified professionals, then that has the potential to sabotage the ability to build cohesive teams and genuine appreciation for what everyone has to offer, as well as harboring resentment and consideration of whoever is believed to be have truly earned the right to be on the team. Realizing and then spreading that message that everyone on the team is truly qualified to get on the team is a great way to build professional solidarity moving forward, enhancing creativity and strengthening teamwork. In this way, instead of resenting professionals believed to be unworthy of inclusion just because they're different, even if their actual qualifications were never explored, you can instead plant seeds of belief that everyone on the team is qualified, with an inspiring new challenge of identifying and maximizing how everyone on the team is qualified, one professional at a time. Which leads to consideration number two. Embracing cultural diversity welcomes the differently qualified. What do I mean? Well, in one sense, the creation of job descriptions often requires an assessment of what is required to do the job and to do it well. If you search for a job in a recent history, you may have seen in job descriptions things that list required qualifications as well as suggested qualifications. When done well, the required qualifications identify a minimum standard qualification such that without it, one most likely cannot accomplish the task, whereas suggested qualifications reflect a prospective employer's wish list or an it would be nice list of their ideal candidate, often based on the qualifications held by the professional who most recently excelled at that role, either at that organization or someone else. I mention this because there are often times when there are individuals from various cultural groups who apply for certain jobs without the posted and desired qualifications. However, they truly believe that they can accomplish the required task, not because they're eternal optimists and want the employer to take a chance on them and believe they can learn something completely new on the job, but instead because there may have been financial or other related access barriers to obtaining the desired qualifications. But instead of quitting, they were able to maximize other professional opportunities that are related enough to help them develop the competence and proficiency required to not only meet but excel at the new job description and responsibilities. It is at this point where the employer then has a challenge. They can focus on the made up arbitrary wish list in the job description and get stuck on the that's not the usual path to being qualified for this position trap. Or they can acknowledge that people can tread different paths and become differently qualified to accomplish the same goal. You see, many times across history, people were denied access to the path to the outcome. And then their lack of path experience was used as an excuse to deny them access to the outcome. So the question then becomes, will you reward certain paths or will you reward the ability to contribute and thrive in the outcome? Hear me clearly. Embracing cultural diversity does not mean prioritizing cultural minorities over those in the majority. Instead, it means acknowledging that with cultural diversity, you can invite a variety of cultural perspectives and contributions, influenced by a variety of life experiences, many of which are not accounted for in the existing professional teams and environments. By acknowledging the differently qualified, you have the chance to experience the benefits of a variety of perspectives and skills, not as a charity case for the unqualified, but as a strategic effort to value diverse contributions that can benefit everyone in the organization from top to bottom. And finally, there's consideration number three. Can't find culturally diverse candidates? Look harder. On one hand, it's easy and reasonable to say we just don't have a lot of cultural diversity in our current pool of candidates who have applied. It's another thing altogether to take the time to make intentional efforts to do things such as explore where you're advertising that the job is even available. For if you only advertise where certain candidates frequent, it'll be no surprise that you only get certain applicants. Or explore your job descriptions, for there are times when your required qualifications may convey a rigid, rarely obtainable standard and discourage candidates with diverse professional experiences to even apply for the job. You can also explore potential networking opportunities, asking other professionals in a variety of environments for referrals to professionals who might be a good fit. When you make these kind of intentional efforts to convey that you're looking for new perspectives and new contributions and inspiration that can take the organization to places it hasn't been before, then you're not conveying that everything and everyone in the organization currently is bad or deficient, but instead you're conveying that as awesome as the organization already is, you also acknowledge that it is still having the opportunity to meet a greater variety of unmet needs and that you need new people to take you to new places. In the end, this effort is technically not necessary if the goal was to continue to do things exactly the same way and always meet exactly the same needs. However, a new message can be conveyed with the potential to attract new professionals who you see. With all this in mind, my hope for you is that you will be able to develop an appreciation for culturally diverse contributions among professionals near and far, not as a charity case, but a strategy for enhancing an entire organization or business and everyone it serves. Considering cultural diversity in hiring is not about prioritizing skin color, nor hiring unqualified people to damage the future of the business. Instead, it's by granting opportunities for qualified professionals to be seen, differently qualified professionals to be valued, and for the mutual process of businesses and culturally diverse populations to find each other to become more easily done over time. Whether you do the hiring at your organization or simply have the opportunity to welcome new coworkers to the team, I encourage you to help identify and maximize everyone's unique contributions so that everyone in the entire organization benefits as a result. And with that, I'll say thanks again for listening to today's Diversity Dude podcast. If you have any pressing diversity-related questions that you'd like me to address in an upcoming podcast, or if your organization is in need of a shame-free and empowering guest speaker or training on this often sensitive topic, then feel free to reach out to me directly at www.diversitymadesimple.com. And if you know of anyone else who can benefit from a positive and encouraging perspective on this often difficult topic of diversity, feel free to send them a link to this podcast so they can be encouraged by it as well. Or share with them my award-winning book, Diversity in Clinical Practice, available at Amazon.com. And don't forget to visit TED.com and check out my talk on what to do when you offend someone. I hope it inspires you and that you share it with someone else so that they can be inspired as well. And as usual, I look forward to addressing as many topics as possible in future podcasts to help you improve as many relationships as possible at work, at home, and in your community. And as always, remember this: you don't need to know everything about everyone in order to have a positive impact on someone. Thank you all for tuning in, and have a great day.
Tune in each week and find out how to demand and implement diversity at your job. To hear more, check out previous Diversity Dude shows on ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com.
You know Shaletta makes you laugh, but did you know Shaletta Brundage can also make you think and boost your business? Media personality, activist, and comedian Shaletta Brundage founded Shaletta Makes Me Laugh to celebrate and share the best of Black culture. It's a podcasting platform. You can download 10 weekly podcasts hosted by African-American subject experts at ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com is also a production house, creating broadcast-quality commercial content. And Shaletta and her team of storytellers create powerful promotional campaigns to get businesses the brand awareness they're looking for. Some of Minnesota's top businesses trust Shaletta, and you can too. Get out the word about your events and products and get in front of communities of color with ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. She's got the power to help your business.
When I was introduced to Bremer, I really appreciated it. It was more of a relationship. The support that we have in project-based lending, it's emboldening us to go after larger projects. That is a game changer for a small business. The resources and the support from Bremer Bank is exciting that I could stay with them forever. Sometimes when you're working with bankers, they relish the fact of saying no. With Bremer, it's like they're finding a way to say yes.